exciting day today because the elections just popped off. America is about to be great again, as you can see from James's hat. Where did you even get that hat from? You saw Bitcoin, did a massive pump after the election news came out, right? Like, I think people are thinking that the Trump win is a very positive thing for crypto. Every single aspect of the financial markets is going to track with something as big as a presidential or a party shift, policy shift in the US.
I speak to a lot of guys older than me, and a lot of them say like routines like help them a lot in their own life. Not like these aren't even traders, these are just businessmen, right? And they say that you have to get into a routine. You can actually find like a groove, and that's like, okay, waking up at the same time every single day, going to gym at the relatively the same time every single day, that type of stuff.
And again, not saying that it's wrong to go full throttle. If anything, I think it's very, very helpful to, for once in your life, go all the way, figure out how much you can take, figure out how much you can handle, and then find the middle ground, find the thing that makes you ultimately happy. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Challenge Accepted podcast. I still really like how that's rolling off the tongue. I'm very proud of myself for that name. I'm proud of ChatGPT. Anyway, it's an exciting day today because the elections just popped off. America is about to be great again, as you can see from James's hat. Where did you even get that hat from?
Oh, bro, one of the guys' neighbors here where I live, he actually fought in the Afghan war for America, and he was like, dude, it's the elections. Here's a hat for you. And I was like, sick.
I love that. I love how global the American elections are. And you know what the truth is? Like it or not, the American elections have an impact on you directly or indirectly, because if you want to talk directly, yes, like on the charts as traders, this type of news and the type of economic policies, the type of foreign policies that the US is coming out with, they will directly impact the prices of not just the US dollar, but you have to remember that the dollar is still the reserve currency of the world. Maybe this is shifting, we don't know yet, but as of right now, we're still US dominated. So anything US related, elections, presidents, any type of policy changes, all of this is going to trickle into the markets, whether it's gold, whether it's Bitcoin. I mean, you saw Bitcoin, did a massive pump after the election news came out, right? Like, I think people are thinking that the Trump win is a very positive thing for crypto. Every single aspect of the financial markets is going to track with something as big as a presidential or a party shift, policy shift in the US. So definitely directly impacts all of us traders, and indirectly on a personal level, in your life, in your job, in your work. Like, there's so many things that come out of this. With the whole situation, how much the U.S. dominates global politics. You look at the Israel situation, even the situation with the Russia-Ukraine war, right? Like, the U.S. has very, very direct impact on all this. So it's a global thing. This is a big event for all of us. Whether you pay attention to U.S. politics or not, you cannot deny that this is going to impact you in the coming days and the next 4 years for President Trump's campaign or his term. So with that being said, were you on the Trump train, or are you just wearing this hat?
Of course, I'm on that Trump train. I saw good old.
Let's go.
Cam was on the Trump train too.
Let's go. Let's go.
100%. No, I 100%. I mean, Trump. I just think he's a great leader. In all honesty. So yeah. But as mentioned, I think whether get into politics a lot or not really, and I think it's kind of naive if you are a trader or a businessman to say, oh, well, don't talk politics, because it affects your decisions that you need to make as a businessman, businesswoman, or a trader, right? If you just come in and be, and without any fundamental knowledge, if you come in and there's rate cuts this week. So if you come in and say, well, I'm just going to trade technicals, it just doesn't make sense, to actually, think like that way as a trader, because fundamentals help drive the markets, and then you can use technicals to actually trade them. But yeah, so you actually have to be following up with politics, fundamentals, and all that type of stuff. Whether you like it or not. So yeah, I am glad that Trump won, as you can see by my hat. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great 4 years. And as you know from Trump's last term, he would tweet and the stock market would move in the middle of the day. So I
That's
think
all
it's going
we're
to
in
be
for.
fun.
I'm just in it for the tweets, bro.
I
That's
know, bro. It's gonna be fun. I mean, this is it's gonna be crazy volatility, which is it creates opportunities. Obviously, you got to protect the downside then too, right?
yeah. I feel like if anything, I've been very tired of this liberal narrative that's kind of taken over the last couple of years. I'm not about that. But we'll see. We'll see what's upcoming because the elections just happened. We still have yet to see what kind of policies are going to be in effect. I'm sure there's going to be big waves, big moves happening, especially if things like taxes change. I know Trump has some stances on taxation.
Yeah.
I know that he has some stances on how foreign policy should be conducted, specifically with giving aid, specifically with immigration. Things like this are all going to make big waves. Again, I feel like it's too early to tell because I feel like it or not, it's politics, right? It's a little bit of a scam sometimes. Just because somebody won the election saying some stuff doesn't mean they actually go through and follow through with it. A lot of times the follow through can be, what they say to win the election might just be what they say. This is just kind of the nature of politics. It's how the system is set up. But I'm very excited for what's to come because I do think that based on everything that we know about Trump, I think that the markets are potentially going to do quite well. I hope that he might be the president that comes in and actually sorts out this mess that we have with crypto, which has been ongoing forever. Right? There's been saying, oh, we want to regulate, we want to whatever. I am very pro crypto regulation. I think that crypto getting regulated, especially with Hydra being a crypto firm, right? What we don't like is we don't like when things are very unclear. We don't like when the waters are muddy. I would rather there be a clear line saying, okay, legally, this is what a security is. This is what doesn't constitute a security. Here's what agency. Here's what jurisdiction this falls under. I like to operate, especially when you're a business owner, when you operate something like a prop firm or a broker, you prefer there to be clarity because then you can make sure that you are compliant. You are either compliant or you're not, right? Like, and then you can operate. But working in this gray zone, trying to guess what's going to come out, we've always erred on the safe side, but like I don't like operating in the gray area. So hopefully, in the next 4 years, we could see some progress, when it comes to this type of regulation. I'm very hopeful for crypto regulation if and I think long term that's going to be very, very positive. We have the ETFs already came out, right, with Bitcoin. I really think that, with the ETFs now, I think that we're starting to move in the direction of having a fully regulated crypto industry. And I think that's going to make long term crypto very, very good because right now, crypto's full of pumping up schemes, full of scams,
Yeah.
rugs, celebrity
Yeah.
coins. Like this type of stuff has got to stop
It is.
because
Yeah.
it's
It is all over the place,
utter
bro.
garbage. It's
It
nonsense.
is all over the place. No, I agree with you, bro. I think it's going to be really, really, it's going to be exciting. I think if you're a trader, we got to love these type of market conditions. So, but yeah, just I wanted to ask a couple. There's a few topics that we wanted to go over on today's episode 2, DY. I was watching a little bit of Cam stuff this past month and, on morning routines and stuff like that. What do you take from morning routines? Why do you think it's important, not only as a trader? And I know everyone gets like, so, oh, you got to meditate. Meditations, why are you not profitable? And that's a bunch of BS. But why do you think morning routines are good?
Did you see that episode, that YouTube video Cam made where he was like, joking about the routine, like meditation? He had this like
Yes, I
samurai
did.
sword. You saw that? Oh, that shit cracked me up. Yeah, I'm a big believer in routines. I'm a very big believer in doing certain things, in preparation, like to prepare your mind and to prepare your psychology to deal with and handle the rigors of trading, right? So if we're talking about trading, it's very, very psychologically and mentally demanding. Meaning, we just talked about this off stream, off camera. If you're taking a couple of losses, it affects whether you feel like streaming or not, right? Like, we're human beings, right? If your confidence is a little bit down on the day, you feel like you're not making great decisions, to get on stream and then to trade in front of people, whether you're a seasoned veteran, whether you've traded for 10 years or 5 years or 2 years, it doesn't matter. Like, it's going to impact how you feel on that singular day. So I feel like setting things up for yourself is extremely important. I personally, I have a pretty simple routine. I wake up at 4 a.m., I meditate for 90 minutes, and I take an ice bath afterwards for an hour. So 90 minutes meditation, ice bath, 1 hour. James is 1 hour ice bath, bro.
1 hour. Jeez. Must be hot in.
It's hot in Bali, man. It's hot in Bali. No, my routine is very, very simple. Like, I go by a couple things. I love coffee. So, I definitely love having my little routine based around coffee in the mornings after my 1 hour ice bath. But there was this thing that I saw.
You forgot to add in the marathon. You ran a marathon before the ice bath.
No, it's only a half marathon, bro. It's only a half marathon. Sorry. I do the triathlon in the evening though, so just keep your mind on that. Oh, no, I read this thing, or not read. I heard on the podcast, Huberman podcast, about like caffeine. And I really noticed, this is one tip that I have for you guys that drink coffee. I know a lot of you guys do. James, are you a big coffee guy, or are you no coffee?
I am.
Yeah. So coffee with caffeine, it's not good to have it like first thing in the morning. You kind of want to have it 60 to 90 minutes post waking up, because this is some article or something that Huberman cited regarding caffeine on one of his podcasts. When you first wake up in the morning, we have this chemical in our body when we first wake up that's still being produced during sleep. I don't know what the exact chemical is. I'm not a scientist. Okay, I don't remember that. I just got the gist of the idea. Because your body is still producing this chemical, if you drink and consume caffeine, it essentially suppresses that and just layers on top of it, and it wakes you up. But your body is still producing these chemicals that are making you sleepy. And that's why if you drink coffee first thing in the morning, you tend to get what you experience as like an afternoon crash.
Okay.
And to avoid that, right, you should wait 60 to 90 minutes, wait till your body is done processing and secreting these like sleepy chemicals, let's just call it that. And then you drink coffee and you avoid the afternoon crash. So I actually used to drink coffee very first thing in the morning, and I realized I was like, I always get this afternoon like sleepy period. And after I started doing this, waiting 60 to 90 minutes, my energy has been a lot more consistent throughout the day. So that's one tip, for your morning routine, especially for those of you that, trade in the afternoon. You don't want to be feeling sleepy, when you're getting on the charts. You don't want that to be happening at the same time. So 60 to 90 minutes post waking up, no caffeine, right? Consuming caffeine afterwards when these chemicals are gone and you don't deal with that afternoon crash. That's one thing that I've implemented into my daily morning routine that I really, really love. So, I've built my routine kind of around that. It's very simple, right? I know that I love coffee, and I know that I love my routine around coffee is usually I check my emails, I respond to WhatsApp messages, Slack, and all of this stuff, because overnight, a lot of stuff usually comes in because we work with different time zones. So I know that when I open my phone first thing in the morning, I don't open my phone first thing in the morning, but after I have my coffee, again, I delay checking my phone until, a little bit later, because I give myself some time to wake up and do my routine, respond to everything while I'm having coffee. And that kind of sets me up for the day, because I feel like I get all the busy work cleared out, right? Like a lot of people, anyone that wants my attention, needs me to look at something, needs me to review something. Maybe James really misses me and he texts me in the evening. Says, hey, bro, I just miss you. Can I hear your voice? I can send him a little voice note, right? But I like to get these things out of the way first thing in the morning, and then I really feel like I'm set. So then I take a little bit of a break. I like to move my body. So then I get into the gym or like golf. I do my little first work block in the morning, usually about an hour and a half. I get into my physical activity, and then I'm on the work train the rest of the day, right? Like my next break is usually dinner time. So usually I separate my work into blocks, and it's the same with trading, right? When I start, when I need to be on the charts, I like to be in this routine where I know like my mental energy is ready, right? I've cleared out all the busy things I need to do in the day, and I know that like I've responded to whoever I need to respond to, and I get into my physical exercise, right, which sets me up for success, gets me my dopamine, like makes me feel good, and then I shower and I'm good. I'm ready to go. I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, I should work out. Like I don't like to delay that, so I'm good. I can sit and work for the rest of the day as long as I need, and I'm good to go. And I feel like that sets me up for success, right? So I don't do any of this crazy like 10-hour yoga, 1-hour ice bath, 3-hour meditation stuff. Just the half marathon in the morning and the triathlon
Yeah.
in the evening.
No, no, 100%, bro. I think, well, like in terms of like my morning routine as well. I remember actually, and we were actually just speaking about this before the recording started. But you know, we get into trading to actually have time freedom, right, and be able to work on other businesses, like you're working on Hydra, other businesses as well. But we don't get into trading and to be trading 10 hours a day. We simply don't, right? That we were speaking also about mental capital. I think that a lot of about routines, and a lot of the, I think it's always good to seek wise counsel. Speak to a lot of guys older than me, and a lot of them say like routines like help them a lot in their own life. Not like these aren't even traders; these are just businessmen, right? And they say that you have to get into a routine, so you're not you can actually find like a groove, and that's like, okay, waking up at the same time every single day, going to gym at the relatively the same time every single day, that type of stuff. And I think this has just helped me in
Are
terms
you
of my
an
own
early
trading.
bird?
No,
Sorry, because
I'm a
no.
night owl, bro. I'm a night
Yeah,
owl.
me too.
I'll
Me
get
too.
I'll get up at about like 7:30, bro. I'm a night owl.
How are you a
Excuse what?
night owl and get up? I get up at 9, bro.
Yeah, yeah. I
I'm a
stay
night
up.
owl. I wake up at 7:30 in the
You must be
morning and
going to
I
bed at like
sleep
a
at
two.
11.
No, bro. I can. I mean, I can literally probably like stay up if I wanted to until 2, 3 in the morning. But I normally go to bed like at 12. But I'm a night owl, bro. My brain starts to function better. I'd say from like that 1, 2 o'clock in the
Agreed.
afternoon, bro. My brain starts to operate then, and that's when I'm actually starting to pick up into the like morning. I like to be like more relaxed and that type of stuff. And then, bro, I can sleep until 9 as well.
What would you say is your peak productivity window? Right? When do you feel like is this time when you feel like you're in the zone? I mean, we all kind of know what
Yeah,
it feels like to be in the zone when you're working.
yeah.
What do you have like a regular time where you feel most in the zone?
Yeah, I'd say between like 4 and 8 p.m., bro. That's when I'm operating. Like that's when I know like I can graft, I can operate. That's when I'm like, for those 3, 4 hours, I know like I'm in the zone and I can graft, bro. Like just sit down and get, and that's why it comes back to like what we're speaking about, like trading. I used to also trade currencies, and then I moved over to the indexes and stocks recently in the last 4 months. But trading currencies can sometimes be from like a whole day, like from London session, so South African time, that will be like 9 a.m., 10 a.m. at the moment, until like 4 p.m. in the afternoon. That's just too long for me. And what I've actually found that my results have actually been a lot better since just trading in like a smaller time window as well.
And
Yeah.
you kind of focus, like your focus is more narrow, and as
Yes.
opposed to kind of spread everywhere. That's the I really like this because I also feel like if I narrow down my focus and I just it's something like the to-do list as well, right? There's this thing where if
Yes.
you have way too many things on your to-do list, like if you have 10 items, you're going to be a lot less motivated to actually complete them
Finish
as
them.
opposed to you having 3. A lot of times
Yeah.
it can be overwhelming to have too many things to do, right? Like if you have 10 things that you need to complete, instead of saying, "Hey, today I'm going to do all 10," it might be better to break it down and say, "Hey, today I'm going to make sure my non-negotiables is I'm going to do 3." And then,
Yeah.
if I do more, great. And then you get your focus on kind of what actually needs to be done. A lot of times I find myself when I do this and I narrow my focus, I actually get more done as opposed to when I have this gigantic pile on my
Yeah.
plate. A lot of times it can feel a little bit overwhelming. I'm just like, oh gosh, like even just thinking about it is
Yeah.
exhausting.
I read it somewhere the other day. Austin could have told me this, but basically, if it was on one of my friends. He does drop shipping. basically, if you have like a list, right, of, and you go, let's say you go to the barber, I've got to get my hair cut quite often, and you go to you go to the barber, and like let's say you go to that specific barber for 10 haircuts, and on the 10th one you get a free cut, right?
I really
And
like that you're using the barber example. Sorry.
I go to the barber often, bro. My hair grows, just not in the right places. So basically, if you go and he gives you like a card, right? Like so on the 10th one you get a free cut. But if he shows you that he already stamps like 3 off, so basically you've only gone once, but he stamps 3 places off. You feel more accomplished to go to that barber again to finish the 10 to get that free one because you're already 30% in. And it's the same what you say now. Instead of having like a big list to do, maybe say, okay, these are the 3 that I have to do by today. So let me focus on that instead of trying to do 10 different things. Like for me in the mornings as well, when I'm trying to make content, instead of me trying to make 5 different videos all at once, I do 1 video a day or 1 video every second day. And it helps me also, get it done. Otherwise you sit there and you don't get it done at all.
Would you consider yourself a productivity junkie, or like someone that really tries to maximize your productivity? I'm just curious.
Yes, 100%. I especially when I'm in that zone, bro. Like I can do. The problem with me, I got ADHD, bro. I can do like 5 different things at once. Like I can be talking here, I can be doing an email here and stuff like that. And I try to maximize as much as possible. Also, when I'm feeling like in the zone, I'm going to gym. I'm doing what I need to do 100% because I know that there's going to be like maybe in the evening when I want to just do completely nothing, bro. I'm like that guy that's like all or nothing, like 100% in. Like it's the same with trading. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, but I'm 100% going to do it. I'm all or nothing, And
I think I'm a lot the same probably. I probably don't really try to like squeeze efficiency and productivity as much as I used to, like with all the self-help stuff and like all the whatever. Like I still enjoy it. I actually more so do it for the company now than anything else. One of the things I discovered as an entrepreneur that I really like is one of the reasons why I enjoy building businesses and why I like entrepreneurship is I like creating processes, right? Like I actually enjoy building workflows, and I like to see, the team work through the workflows. Even like for this podcast, right? Like when we first started, it was pretty rough, just getting the editing done and like making sure like, oh, the editor is speaking to the right person. Who are we contacting? Who's recording what? But once we started to get more of the basics nailed down, I was able to build a system that fully made everything a lot more efficient. And I actually really just kind of finished building that system last night because I was trying to look for the right software to transcribe these podcasts, so the AI could read them, so we could start to use AI to generate descriptions, timestamps, a lot of these things that take up a lot of human time. Now we have the tool of AI, right? Like I'm able to build processes and automate that workflow as much as possible, and I really enjoy building that, right? I enjoy building the system and plugging someone in and saying, hey, this is your job now. Here are the tools that I've created so that, your job is a lot easier. Here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to make. And then that person just comes in and realizes, oh, wow, like this is actually kind of being handed to me. I kind of like to build those processes to streamline the business, to make, number one, communications a little bit easier. A lot of times wasted on back and forth, even like just for this podcast, right? Like there was a lot of communication going on because James was doing the podcast recordings, and then we have to put it up on Drive. And then after we started to see, okay, this is kind of the regular stuff that needs to happen, I was able to set up automations for James just does one thing and everything else gets populated, and then everyone else gets distributed their content, and everyone doesn't, you don't even need to message the other person. They know when the new podcast is being uploaded. They know where the files are. All the folders are automatically created, right? And it's all organized. So I really enjoy doing this stuff. I feel like I apply it more so on the business side than directly to myself. I used to really try to squeeze every single minute out of every day, and that in itself, I think, is kind of is not very healthy. If you're really like a junkie with productivity and you're just like, no, like I gotta be like, while I'm on the road, I gotta listen to a lecture or a podcast, and then I gotta like, have notes, and then while I'm sitting on the train, like I gotta do this, and then while I'm in the gym, I gotta do another thing. Yes, I used to be like that. I really used to be kind of overboard with that stuff. I used to be part of the 5 a.m. wake up crew, finish workout by 7 a.m., be at work before 8:30. And honestly, that was not enjoyable to me. Right? I was really trying to force myself, pigeonhole myself into this because I'm like, oh yeah, like you need to like be early, like morning waker. But
Mm.
I realized I'm much more of a night owl. Right. As I got older, I was like, I am so productive at night. Actually, like I get crazy
Yes.
amounts of work done between
I,
10 p.m. and 12 a.m. Like, why would I take that away and try to force myself to go in the mornings where I feel like I'm 10 times slower? It's always been
yeah.
like that for me. So I'm like, now my routine's much more that way. I'm a little bit more relaxed with these things, but I still enjoy doing these things for business, for Hydra, for, this podcast. Like, I really enjoy building processes, building automations and stuff, creating efficient workflows, creating efficient funnels, and I enjoy this stuff. So that's where I kind of push myself these days.
100%. I think something that kind of is like a cliche is like you have got to wake up at 5 a.m. if you want to be successful, and that is like, dude, what
1 hour
happens if my
ice
body
bath minimum.
operates better? Yeah, and you got to do an hour ice bath after the marathon. Why would you do that if your body naturally? So that, like for me as well, when I was like quite hectic, I'm still like I would say I like being productive and operate as best as I can, and quite I like working hard, put it like that. But I think for me, at one stage, I was like, dude, why am my body couldn't wake up early, bro. I couldn't wake up like at 5 o'clock to go to gym and stuff. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm not, my body just can't do it. And then I realized, but my body actually operates better from like 3 p.m. onwards. And I was like, let me rather lean into what my body's telling me to do. That's how I'm wired. Let me operate then. And I was getting so much more work done, bro. Like I would stay up until like 1 p.m. and that doing like back testing with trading, doing other stuff, building my personal brand, building tweets for the next week, stuff like that, building live streams when I'm going to stream live topics and that sort of stuff too. And my body just operates so much better on that, on that time zone. And I'm like, dude, just because you wake up at 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m. doesn't mean you can't be successful, because I'm getting work done when you're sleeping, and vice versa. So
Yeah, I feel like so much of that also correlates and translates to trading, right? Like if you see someone trading a certain way and they're successful, it doesn't mean you have to go and do it. If anything, it's more a process of you finding something that works for yourself as opposed to you trying to be somebody else. I think that's like in
yeah,
life, right? Like you need to find your own way. Just because someone is successful doing things a certain way doesn't mean that that's the only way to do things. And if you're talking about trading, if you're talking about coming up with a routine that helps you be successful, so many of these things are individual. You could really be a morning person, right? If you're in my time zone, if you're in the Asia time zone, we have Asia session in the morning. You could be an early bird. You could trade Asia session. We have London session in the afternoon. Starts about 4 p.m. my time. No, 3 p.m. my time, if I'm not wrong. And then you have New York session. I could trade all three sessions if I wanted to. And I think as a beginner trader, I was kind of like, there was a phase where I was like, yo, I'm going to trade, I'm going to trade Asia, I'm going to trade
jeez,
London, and then I'm going to trade New York.
jeez, you don't need to fly across the world to trade it, bro. You just do it all from Bali. That's why you're there.
And I was like, yeah, why not? I could wake up at 5 a.m., right? I could be ready for the market open by 7:30, and then I'll finish trading like 11 p.m. After New York. And that was ridiculous, right?
Jeez.
Not unrealistic expectation. Really, really unrealistic. What I would say, how this kind of translates this figuring out what's optimal. Like what's optimal for somebody doesn't mean it's optimal for you. This is something that
Yeah.
I also learned in fitness. Like there's optimal and like there's really, really optimal, which is, exactly your macros, what you're eating, how many grams of protein, fat, carbs, you're weighing all your food. But that's also a little bit psychotic. It's optimal for muscle growth, right? Or achieving a certain physique goal. But it's really not optimal for living. Like it's really not optimal for life because your entire life becomes consumed by your food and your physique. It's the same thing with trading. You don't want your entire life to be consumed by trading. That's really, maybe you really love it that much and that's your sole purpose. That could be it. But for a lot of us, James, myself included, it's not the only interest we have in life. It's not the only thing we want to do. If anything,
Yeah.
we probably were attracted to trading because it would give us the financial freedom, but also the time freedom was much more of an attractive factor to me. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I could really be fully in charge of my own schedule. I don't have to answer to anybody. If I wanted to be somewhere, it doesn't matter. I could be in the US, I could be in Asia, I could be in Europe, and I could still trade, and that could still be
Yeah.
a part of my routine. So that control and that freedom was a very big part of why I got into it. But if you really think about it, if I'm making myself trade Asia session and London session and New York session, did I really achieve the goal of like why I came in to do this in the first place?
Oh,
Not really,
that's
right?
crazy.
That's
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 crazy.
that's not really. But if you really want to say, hey, if you were an excellent day trader and you really want to maximize your time on the market to maximize your return, you would optimize yourself to be able to trade 3 sessions, because why not? You know, especially if you're in a time zone where you can. And then you would optimize your whole schedule around, you know, being in the best possible mental state to trade all 3 sessions. You could like biohack your way into whatever. But that's like the very, very extreme. That's like
Yeah.
comparable to, you know, weighing every single gram of food you eat for,
Yeah.
you know, for fitness, right? Like there's certain people that can do it. I'm not saying you can't do it. Bodybuilders do it to prepare for shows, but even then they don't do this year round. They do it for a
Certain time.
concentrated period of time, maybe 12 weeks, maybe 16 weeks to prepare for a show. And then they know they have to take their foot off the gas because it's not a sustainable pace, right? Sustainability is a long thing. And you should not sacrifice long-term sustainability ever for short-term optimal, unless you're very clear that, okay, this is a short-term sprint. I do this and I can take my foot off the gas. The
Yep.
expectations, I think, really need to be aligned here. You know, and this is a lesson I've taken from fitness really into life. Like you're just being able to zoom out and take a much more bird's eye view and saying, okay, I see the best possible way to do this is this. But am I going to be able to do this for a year? And if the answer is
Yeah.
no, then I probably look for a
I
more scaled back version of it, right?
I agree. Like let's just, and I love using people that have proven and done it for many many years, because I would rather be able to do something for a sustained period of time rather than doing it all in for like a year and then burning out and being like, you know what,
Yeah.
stuff this, I'm going to move on to something else. Because in any career that you're doing, if you want to build a prop firm, if you want to become a good trader, if you want to become an accountant, if you want to become a doctor, you don't just study all in for 1 year and then all of a sudden you've made it. No, it's about it's about longevity, right? A career is my dad told me this one time, and it was a career is a long haul of consistency. It's not just going to happen overnight. You have to be consistent, just like getting a good in shape body, right? It doesn't, that's why I think like a lot of people that are in shape, it's very respectful, right, of them to be in shape, because it shows that they got discipline. Because no matter what, you can, maybe cheat your way to getting money. You can cheat your way to a lot of things in life, but you can't cheat your way to a good healthy body, and that and because that takes consistent discipline, and that's what most careers need. And I think Cam Foose, the founder of Hydra, he's been doing this for 20 years, and a lot of his videos, as I mentioned, I've been watching a lot of his videos on YouTube recently, because he's been doing it for so many years. I want to see and he spoke a lot about, I was mentioning to DY in a live on his YouTube, that he only was trading for like 2 hours, 3 hours a day stocks, and now he's doing crypto because he can trade it anytime, any day. But I think it's like a lot of traders actually get into it. And I want to read a tweet actually also from one of the traders I respect a lot on Twitter, Kyle Jadecap, and he tweeted this the other day. He actually said, lately I've been spending less than 10 hours a week on the chart. So 5 days a week, that's about 2 hours a day, right? Mental health is way up. Similar profits compared to 2 years ago when I was spending 30 plus hours on the charts. We get into trading for the freedom. Don't become a slave to the market. So like he's just spending 2 hours a day. And this is from someone, I mean, he's pulled in over $1 million in prop firm payouts in the last 2 years. So 3 years. But it's like, I think a lot of the times we always focus on like trying to spend as much time as we can on the charts, but it's actually counterproductive. Can you realistically spend 10 hours a day for 3-4 years plus on the charts? Probably not, bro. You're going to get burnout at some point, particularly when you're in a losing stretch.
I think being
Yeah.
able to know when to take your foot off the gas and when to really go full throttle, this takes experience. This really takes time. even from a personal performance perspective. Actually, Andre talked about it last episode. In episode 4, we had CEO of Edgeful, another very productive, very high performance, very high achieving guy, right? Worked at Goldman Sachs. We really talked about this, this idea and this concept. And he said the one thing that he really learned from being at Goldman was really how far he could push himself as far as the work ethic, as far as how hard you can actually work, right? Like he was talking about everyone being constantly on red line and you realizing that everyone's full throttle. So you got to be there too. And having that kind of experience, understanding where the max is, allows you to be able to play in that spectrum. So I still think that there's a benefit to really pushing yourself and really exploring the boundaries. I'm not, when we say, hey, like take things, take things in a more safe manner, take things in a more balanced manner. It doesn't mean you never try to push yourself. I think pushing yourself and really exploring the boundaries is one of the ways where you find middle ground. How do you know something is the middle? You don't just start off and you say, oh, this is the middle. How do you know? You know by finding one end and you know by finding the other end where the middle is, right? The middle is relative, and the middle is relative to everyone. Just because I can do certain things, just because my schedule is a certain way, doesn't mean it's going to be the same for you. You have to figure out where your red line is and where you're completely just time off is. For somebody may really struggle with taking time off. Other people may really find it very enjoyable and restful, right? Again, everybody is different, so you got to find it for you.
And also you're gonna constantly change, right? Like I got married this year, right? I'm gonna be more busy. I've got more responsibilities compared to a year ago. I'm gonna have a baby, right? In February. It's well, not me, but my wife, but you get the point. Sorry, I just had to make sure that the
liberals. You've been on point with the analogies today. Haircuts.
I had to make sure that the liberals know that men can't have babies, DOR. The men can't have babies. But basically, it changes.
Depends on what type of man you are, though, according to the liberals.
Yes, exactly. It changes. It's going to change for us as well, right? So my capacity, and I need to get used to this new responsibilities, and then you can start going into that as well. But I definitely think, I think a lot of times for the traders that are, if you guys are listening this far, I think a lot of the times the less that you actually hours that you spend on the desk, probably the better for you, right? More narrow concentration, narrow focus, because I've definitely found it, and this is one of the reasons why I moved over to just trading of the US markets and US stocks is because I was finding that come late on in the day, I started to make some stupid trading decisions. Like I'll do well in the morning and then I'd give it all back in the afternoon. And I'm like, dude, because I was starting to get tired. I mean, I'll be up from 7:30 in the morning on the desk from 8. Then I'll be trading like full stop. And then I'll still need to go to the gym. And then I'll just give back profits in the afternoon, like very stupidly. So yeah, I have a look at it into your trading times and also look at your statistics. That's why for those that are watching as well, I go over a lot of my statistics on my live streams that I'm doing with Hydra on my Twitter accounts and on ASFX TV, showing my statistics. Because if you're losing money in the morning session, well, you might as well just trade in the afternoon. Or if you're losing money in the afternoon, might as well just trade in the morning. There's no point being on for both. And I was actually looking at my statistics last night. I was going through a thorough run through of my TradeZilla statistics, D1. And I was like, dude, I'm actually like break even in the morning. I'm making all my money in the afternoon. So why am I even wasting time in the London session?
If you have the statistics to tell you that, right? Like all you need to do is act upon it. Sometimes I feel like for people that really like to be productive and really like to, ambitious, really like to maximize their time, maybe a lot of you can relate, right? Because we're on this journey. A lot of times the hardest thing to do is to do less. Because you feel like you're supposed to be doing something. Like if you're not doing something, one of the things I hate the most is like this mentality of, oh, if I'm not doing something, then somebody else is. Who cares what that somebody else is doing, bro? Like it's got nothing to do with you. You're not racing against anybody else. You're the only person you should care about is yourself. It's your journey, right? Like, we get taught a lot of things growing up. Especially if you have parents that were like mine, like second place is not good enough. Or if I got like a 97% on a test and somebody else got a 98, they'd be like, why didn't you get a 99? Like again, I love my parents. It's not, this is not their, I don't blame them. But looking back at that, I'm like, okay, I need to get rid of this like attachment to this type of thinking because I'm on my own thing, I'm really trying to do my own thing. And exactly as what James just said, regarding him trading London sessions, this, one of the things that I've discovered later in life that I really, really started to resonate with me more was this Pareto principle. I think it's the Pareto principle, the 80-20, right? 20% of the effort produces 80% of the results. And then the
Yeah,
remaining 80% of the effort produces only 20% of the results, right? So it's about an efficiency thing. And if you can do the 20% that produces the 80% of the results, and you can do that consistently over and over and over again, and that's more sustainable than doing 100% to get 100% all the time, that's what you should do, right? Like maybe James finds out in the long run, right? If he trades London session for another year, he finds out that he is slightly more profit, that maybe 5% of his total profits over the course of 5 years comes from London session. Is he profitable for London session? Would he make money trading London session? Yes. But is it worth him
yeah,
over the course of 5 years investing all of this time into London session to make 5% of the profits that he's made overall, right? How
yeah,
much is that worth to you, right? If you look at that and you're saying, okay, cool, but profits is profits, great, go and do that. But first, for me, I would look at that and say, cool, like let me give up that 5% and let me get like how many countless hours of my life back to go and spend.
yeah,
Now that James has a kid on the way, right? Like I could spend that time with my kid instead, which would be
yeah.
way, way, way more, I think, long term fruitful, and way more enjoyable, right? This is like such a good example of this, especially, looking at James, this London session thing. I'm sure now that you're having a kid, you're thinking about these things. You have to choose your time, how to spend your time more
Sure.
wisely as well, because there's only 24 hours in a day. There's only one James Bruce, as far as I know. And, and you have to decide how you want to spend your time. How much do you really want to spend that time getting that 5% of profits that you're netting? Is it really worth it for you? That's a question that you're going to have to answer for yourself. And maybe when you're younger, you're more hungry, you're willing to do that, but as you get older, you start to have business, you start to have other responsibilities, maybe you start to value other things a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
And again, not saying that it's wrong to go full throttle. If anything, I think it's very, very helpful to, for once in your life, go all the way, figure out how much you can take, figure out how much you can handle, and then find the middle ground, find the thing
Yeah.
that makes you ultimately happy.
100%.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I think that's a good ending for today's podcast episode. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed this topic. Actually, it's something that's very close and personal to myself, and I know it is for James as well. James, do you have something to leave our listeners with for the day? Final piece of advice, final few words.
No, all good.
Just
Maybe
make America great again, right?
yeah, Marga, baby.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. It was awesome as usual, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.